Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to a new video on my channel. I just want to quickly tell you about my Patreon account you can subscribe to if you want to learn loads of up-close tutorials about different tattoo techniques and secrets and tips and stuff. Follow the link at the bottom of the screen right now. Thanks to everyone that has pledged already and is using the service. It's been amazing so far, and it's been really cool to see you guys progress with your work. So make sure you go check it out, and let's head straight into this video. I just want to do a video for you guys on my stencil from literally start to finish, from preparing my stencil in Photoshop. I've got the 2014 version of Adobe Photoshop, and then I print it, and then I'll go through my stencil process and what stencil paper I use and why I do the things I do when I stencil, basically, to give it the best chance of staying on the skin as possible. So first of all, we're going to go up to file, we're going to go new, and then we're going to go to, this is basically, this is a custom one, but you'll get US paper. I'm going to change the resolution to 600 just because it gives me more leeway in a more precise sort of picture. So I'm going to press OK, and this is what's going to come up. So we're just going to go with the skull. So I've found this skull here from Google, just a regular old skull. So you drag and drop into there, resize it. Now you can press shift, which if you hold shift down and then do this, it resizes it normally. If you let go of shift, it then does this, which is what you don't really want to happen. So we'll just go back like that, and then we'll hold shift, and you want to resize it accordingly, just so it's a nice comfortable size on the page, and then press enter, and then that's where it is. So we'll zoom into the image right now. What I like to do is go to filter straight away, then go to camera raw filter at the top. And then I like to, first of all, I like to go down with the saturation. I know it's black and white, it's a black and white image, but with color images like portraits and stuff that I like to use in my work every day, I will then always go down with the saturation first. Then I'll go to clarity, mess around with the clarity. If you go up with the clarity, it picks out more detail. Sometimes that can be really confusing. It completely depends on the reference that you're using. I'm probably, the way I tattoo, I'm probably, because if you do that, if you go up with it, you can see in the eyes and the nose, the depth has gone a slight bit. So I'm going to just come down a bit. So this is the normal one. I'm probably just going to go up a tiny bit. Whites, you can mess around with the whites, see how contrasted you want it to look. Bearing in mind, when you print it out, if it's not a good printer, it's going to lose a lot of the light tones that are on the screen. So make sure you do have a good printer. I'm going to go up a tiny bit with the light tones, the white, sorry, because I like a lot of contrast in my work, because it creates the best depth. And I'm probably going to come up a tiny bit with the blacks, just so I can pick out more of the edge of the skull, because this has got a black background to it. So obviously these black bits on the skull, the shadows, they can get lost. So when you're stenciling it, you can't really see where the line is. So that's the only reason I'm going to go up with the black. So if I go down with the black, look, you can see it's disappeared into the background of this. Well, the skull's disappeared into the background. So I'm just going to come up and get that line again. I'm not going to mess around too much, because it can mess around with the depth that I wanted to achieve with this. So we can have a look at the exposure and just mess around and just have a look and see what looks good to you, really. Probably, I've still got the line there, so I'm probably just going to still keep the shadows about there. I think that's pretty good for me. Might see the whites again. I'll probably stay like that, and then just press OK, and then that will transform your image to your new image ready to print. So what I like to do, just as a general thing, is go to the eraser button, the razor tool, and yep, the picture has to be rasterized rasterized. And I like to just feather off the excess background I don't really need, just so it gets the shape. It just looks a bit neater when you're stenciling it as well. You don't really need to do this, but I just want to do it because I like doing it. Excuse me. So I'm just gonna go around. It also gives you, if you do this, it also gives you like a reference on where to shade to as well, if you wanted to do that. If you wanted to add some shading in, you can like pick some background out like this and then do bits. You can like make up the shade and stuff, like put some smoke effects for it if you wanted to, kind of thing. Just adds more to the picture, I guess, but there's not much we're working with the background here, so I'm just gonna do this. That's a bit to go back as well, it's Command and Z. So if you go wrong, oops, then you just Command and Z on a Mac anyway. That's what I'm using, so that'll do. I'm just gonna get rid of that, don't need that. So yeah, so you can sometimes use your background to manipulate the shading around the piece you want to do, but in this case there's not much background to work with, so I'm just going to go through and say, and then I'm going to get the at the top here, I'm going to go with the move tool, just make sure it's all good so we can select it. Now what I like to do on the Mac is let me just put you down real quick. I like to go Shift Command and then press 4, which will then bring up this icon on your mouse. And this is just the screen grab tool on a Mac. And then what I like to do is just select it like this. This is way easier to resize and stuff as well, than going straight up to File and Print at the top of the screen. So I don't really like to do that. So I'll grab the image like this, bang, and it will come up into your desktop. My desktop is full of stuff right now, so it'll eventually go onto your desktop when it's processed. Come on. Where is it? There it is, it's there. So we'll double tap that, and this is the preview in Mac. So preview, then I'll go File, Print, and then I will then choose my size here. So this is what you can't do in Photoshop. I think, I'm not sure. You probably can. I think I have found a way to do it on a Windows and stuff. But yeah, this is what I like to do with Mac anyway, because it's just so much more easier. So yeah, you can literally go different size. If you wanted to go 90, or you could go 100. I'm probably gonna keep it at like, for this video's sake, I'm probably going to keep it at like 80%. And then you just press print. So let me go and let me go and grab this print and then go on to the second part of this tutorial. So we are fresh off of the printer. This is the image that I made in Photoshop. And this is just an example of what the printer would have printed out if I didn't do the stuff I did in Photoshop. So you can see the outline of the skull quite clearly now, which is nice to stencil. And obviously when you've got the full background, it's just lost into the background and you're just kind of guessing, you know, where it is. So if you do the things I told you to do in Photoshop, then you'll come out with this. So the stencil paper I use is, I use the Spirit Classic freehand stencil paper. Now this has got a sheet of tracing paper, which is what I really like to use because it's super easy to place on the skin, and you can get into all the little nooks and crannies on the elbow area and stuff like that. It just makes it so much better to transfer on the skin than stenciling it on the back of a piece of paper, because it's quite rigid. So I like to use this paper purely because it's just easier to place on the skin onto an uneven surface. So you take this layer out, you don't need that. And then what I like to do is just organize my working area a bit more. So we'll get rid of this because we don't need that. That's just an example. So we'll take our stencil paper, and I like to use a clipboard so it keeps everything in one place, because you'll understand when you're stenciling this, you'll place this on top and then you'll stencil this around like this. Now, if this sheet, if the reference sheet isn't tied down to the bottom sheet and you move it slightly, look, you'll see. I'll quickly do it just for argument's sake. So you're stenciling around like this, yeah? And then you move the top sheet slightly, and then you'll stencil around the new bit. It's not gonna match up. So you'll get halfway through your stencil and then move that bit, and then it's gonna be like double lined. See, it doesn't match up. So you're gonna make sure the stencil and the paper is in line. Just ignore those lines that I've made up there. I'll just bring it down a bit. And you wanna make sure it's tacked into the clipboard, or you can tape it together if you wanted to tape it together. I'm just gonna put you down a minute. You can tape it together if you wanna tape it together. So there you go, it's on there now, it's in there, and it's nice and secure. It's not gonna go anywhere, even if you move, if you flap it up to see where your stencil is, it's always gonna go back down in the exact same position. So the way I like to stencil this is just a skull, obviously reference. The way I like to stencil is just picking out different shades. So if I was to stencil this, I would start probably, yeah, around the top maybe. I would start around the top and then just get that first bit out of the way. So it's going on there. Ignore these two lines, that was just the reference. I'd get the general shape first, like so. I like to hand stencil my things as well, because I just get loads more, what's the word? Loads more detail. I can pick and choose what I want in this. So doesn't matter if you need to rotate. Nice shape we're going for. And what I would suggest to do as well is go all the way around. It's just how I'm going to work right now. So you can see this going on. Now, skulls are quite easy to stencil, I think, in my opinion, just because they're well, they're not an easy shape, but they are an easier sort of thing to do. You don't have to be dead precise like you would with a portrait kind of thing, because you'd have to be really, really, really super precise with that. So yes, this is nearly there now. So yeah, this is it so far. We got the shape. And then what I like to do is just go in with, I normally try and go how I would normally tattoo. So I'd start at the bottom and work my way up, or start with the main features first in the tattoo, in the stencil. So I'd probably start with the eyes first, like this. And because these are black, well, I'll show you in a minute. I'm gonna get that line like this. And then, yeah, this will be black as well. So you do a solid line for black. So normally I do solid lines for black, and then with shading, I'll then dash the lines like that, if you can see, like dashed. So this is shading. So I know I'm gonna shade this bit. So I'll dash these bits, and then I'll dash these bits, and then go into a solid line there, just so I know. And then I can always do this as well. So with solid black areas, I'll just fill it in with lines like that. Then I know that's going to be black. Same with this as well. Obviously there's a section inside the eye there, you can see. So this is going to be black. And then I've just sort of dashed it out. So I know this is going to be black. So line, 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 black, 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 like that. And then obviously this is quite black, so I'll just do a bit of a thicker line just so I know it's all black. And then this one as well. So you can still see that section in there with the other lines in there. And then obviously this bit is going to be, I know this eye is lighter, but I'm probably going to keep it the same color. Like this is, again, the artist in yourself if you want to change the reference a tiny bit just to suit what you really want to do. If it's realism and you want to do exactly the same thing as the reference, then you can, you know, by all means do whatever you want to do. But sometimes I like to not go to the reference, the exact reference. So this is going to be dash, 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 and around there. And then this is all going to be dashes as well, because I know this is going to be shading. This is going to be shading as well. Trying to stay in focus here. Shading, shading, shading. This is going to be shaded as well. Shaded, shaded, shaded. And then I'm going to, is that lines? Yeah, I'm going to then come up with the lines again here. Not as close together, just so I know what I'm doing, kind of thing. And then we've got the nose in here. Like that. This is all quite hard doing it with one hand as well and holding the camera. So this is going to be quite close together because this is the dark, dark, dark bit. I mean, you're always going to be looking back on your reference anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. I'll probably do this bit up there as well. And then, because I've started at the top, I'll probably just go around the top and just complete the top. So I know that's that area there on the skin will be the light part, and then this is just light shading, so you'll dip accordingly to where you think this shading will be. So I'm just going to add this like this, and then this is another dashed line because it's shading, so far apart ones for that, and then I'll do close ones for this because it's obviously black. And I'll leave it like that. Probably put this in here like this. So we're getting there, so obviously we have these bits are shaded, these bits are shaded, this is shaded here, and then this is all black, so we'll go into here with a solid line, just picking out all the little details. Like so, just following the black round until it stops, which is about here. Like that. So wherever the black is, you just want to follow that round. And then obviously there's a hole in here where the jaw is, shadow, like so. And then what you can do is pick out these little bits as well, get as much detail in as possible, because you know you're gonna just kind of simplify it though, guys. Kind of simplify it so you can see where you're going. Don't go crazy with the amount of stuff you put in, because you can always add that in when you're tattooing. You know, you can always look at the reference and then really add it in. Do you know what I mean? So this is all going to be black, so I'll just shade this in black like I would before with the eyes, with the close together. So this is just a reference on where I'm going to be putting my black, if you can see that. You don't have to go all the way up to the lines and make it really, really neat. As long as you can see and understand what you're doing, then that is A-OK. So again, back through with the lines, back through with the lines. This is going to be a long video, I think, guys, but that's fine. I want to show you the complete stencil process. Because a lot of you guys have asked me, so I did want to just clear it up, you know, and give you a proper in-depth tattoo tutorial. If you saw on the At the start of the video, this is my Patreon account. I've got loads of these kind of style videos where I'm voicing over a lot of techniques and stuff, and this is what you're this is the sort of video you're going to get on my Patreon account. Be patient, because obviously I am working on YouTube and Patreon, and you know, I'm just trying to integrate them both together so we can, if those of you are hardcore learners and you want to up your game a bit, then you can go and follow my Patreon account if you do want to do that. So yeah. But yeah, it's been really good, fantastic support so far on there, and yeah, it's really cool to see people progressing in their work and stuff, and yeah, I can't wait to have you on board if you choose to become a patron. So this is just going to carry on with the black, like there. Always checking, I'm always lifting up the paper to check what's been done and what hasn't, and I'll probably put a tiny bit in there because I can see a bit of a white spot there, so I know all this is going to be sort of medium. And now I'll, like all this kind of bit as well, I will probably I'll probably stipple. I'll probably stipple that, because, and when you're going through with your reference as well, you can really get into touch with what bits you're going to do, and like, I'm going to pack black in there, I'm going to stipple this area, I'm going to mag this area, you know, shading with the mag in that area and stuff, and etc, etc. So it's quite good in terms like that. I'll just do that bit in there because that's a bit shaded as well. Right, so this side of the skull now, just try and pick out all the shapes, different shapes. So I know this is the black bit. You don't have to be super precise, but obviously skulls are different. With a portrait, you would have to be really precise, because obviously it's a portrait and you don't want to mess that up or make it look any different. But this is just a skull today, so just picking out what I need to pick out with this. So it's a bit in the nose there. And loads of different people are different stenciling as well. You don't have to stencil the way I do, it's just the way I know, and it's the easiest thing for me. And a lot of people will stencil in the style they do actually tattoo in, which is fine as well. It's just whatever works best for them. Like I said, it is quite hard to stencil this with one hand, so the sheet's moving a tiny bit. There we go. So it's now you can start to see the contrast coming in now. So this, obviously this area looks like loads of jumbled bits of stuff. So what I'm going to do is just finish this bit here. So there's a bit there and a bit there. I could just probably go a bit deeper with, and that bit in there. These little bits. I'll probably just add a bit of that in there. It's not on the sheet, but I know I could probably add that in just to get more detail. I'll probably have this bit really light just to add a bit more detail. Just adds to it. With the teeth, I'll come in like this. This will be really light as well compared, because if you do this too black, then obviously it's going to look like the tooth's like up here. So just make sure you don't go in with too much of a darker color there, because it's going to then blend into this bit. So yeah, this is what I'm doing right now. Now this bit looks a bit confusing to most people, so what I'm just going to do is pick out the shapes and just then go through with it like that. Probably come back here with this first. So I'm going to pick out this bit first. I'm not going to put that in because that looks like a bit of a stand for that. I'm going to do this bit here. So this is going to be dark. So this is going to be all black. Close, 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 close. It's going to be close as well. That's fading out. Like so. And then I will, do this as like a lighter shade. So I'll put that as a lighter shade, and I'll put this as a lighter shade as well. And then I'll just pick out these little elements here, the shapes, like that. This is black, this is black. This is probably going to be black, and then I'll fade this into a darker tone. I might even just keep it all black, to be honest, but I don't know, because this is pretty black in here. So I'll fade this out to medium, like that. And then we've got a bit there on here, so I'll just make that with a dotted line, a bit here as well. Come around here like that. And that's about it, to be honest. Just do the top there, little bits in here. I don't want to go too mad with it, because you can oversaturate the stencil with too much detail, but you can always go through with the tattoo and stencil it how you want to stencil it. And then just, you know, at the end of the tattoo, just look at the tattoo on the skin and the reference next to each other, and just pick out if you do want to have more stuff in there. So just looking at this, I'll probably do this. Yeah, that's about it, guys, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie, that's about it. Now, once you're done, what I like to do is, obviously, when you take this off, there's no going back. You have to go with this stencil, because you can't just place it back on and then retrace it, obviously, because this is what's going to happen up here. So once this is off, you've committed yourself. Again, with one hand, it's quite hard. So what I'd do is slowly peel this back from the sheet. Oh. Like that, and this is what you're going to have. So that's the stencil. Now, I like to use, let's just rip this off this sheet. So we'll rip that off that sheet, and then what I like to do is, what I like to do then is grab a pair of scissors. Grab a pair of scissors. I like to cut the stencil out like about 1 centimetre from the image around the outside, and then I like to cut little slits in like this, not going too far into the image, literally just so it touches the start of the stencil. And this will just, when you place it on a hand, this will just allow, like I've got a hand here, arm here, this will just allow the stencil to spread out and apply evenly without getting creases in it. So, you know, it will go on real nice. So that's what I would do, guys. And yeah, it then just opens itself out, so it's not getting creased and stuff, because obviously stenciling something flat onto a rounded surface is always going to be difficult. So yeah, you just want to do that. And then, yeah, that's the stencil. So another video, I think I've already got a video on my channel on my stencil application, obviously with the stencil stuff, and then another one letting it dry and stuff. So I'll put that on again. I'll try and record another video for that in depth, in case you can't find it on my channel, because there is a couple hundred videos on here. So yeah, that's the stencil, guys. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. And yeah, subscribe if you're new, and check out my Patreon account if you want more in-depth tattoo tutorials like this. And yeah, have a good day, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.